Good morning, y'all. Happy Sunday. I'm coming in all calm and sweet, knowing that is not how I feel 100% in my spirit. I'm actually going live on both Facebook and YouTube at the moment, and I've never done that. And then that it's Sunday morning. I feel like most of my followers and stuff should be getting ready for church. And that's perfectly fine because you'll be able to catch this at a later point in the day. I titled this live "The Generations Behind You." Now, me and the kids, we're going to be talking about lying today, and I didn't know that until five something this morning. But we're going to be talking about lying, and I didn't realize that there was really layers of things that the Lord has been putting on my heart. So for YouTube, and this is weird because I'm looking at myself in here and over here. For YouTube, they're used to me coming like this. Facebook, not so much. Y'all seen some videos and stuff, but I don't usually go live to share prophetically. So this is a little bit new for me. But anyways, YouTube is used to me coming like this. Um, this is a different form for y'all on Facebook. And for YouTube, it's really just kind of been a while. And I posted some content the other week, like whatever was just trying to shut me up, like, I'm coming for you. I'm coming for you. And I didn't know what exactly I was coming for. I just knew I was coming for something, but I didn't realize the layers of prophecy the Lord has been giving me. Like for me, every it hits everything when he's giving it to me. Like on an individual level, it'll still apply. In children's church, it'll be something that I can speak to my YouTube channel, and we talk about certain things over there. It'll be stuff I'm having conversation with my family. It'll be stuff that I'm seeing at work, strangers, other platforms. Like it hits across the board. And so at first I was going to call this a disservice to the generations behind you. But then I was like, no, because me and God have also been talking about being a blessing to the generations behind you. But it's really a mixture of both. And there are specific things that he wants me to hit on. And I'm going to try to do it very, very quickly because I got to get ready for church. And so let's talk about the blessing part first. One of my favorite songs is The Blessing by Kari Jobnim, right? And how he'll bless you throughout the generations. And I think we miss oftentimes like what boils down to a family or a bloodline being blessed or cursed throughout the generations is obedience. And it goes back to the Old Testament. Like, you obey me and I'm a bless you in the generations after you. He says that. We've taught the babies that at church. You disobey me, and it's going to be the opposite. I'm going to curse you in the generations behind you. And really, that's just giving the devil that access. And when you disobey God, that's what you're doing. You're giving him that access. Okay. So that's ultimately what it comes down to. So when I'm on the internet, no matter what level I'm talking about it, like the post I made the other day, and I was like, the curse is trying to get me through a different um face or a different person. Like, Megan, what is that curse? It's ultimately agreement with the devil. That person's agreement with the devil, or it's something that I'm used to dealing with through my bloodline because somebody was in agreement with the devil when it came to that. But ultimately, that's the curse. It's him having access to you and access to your bloodline. So that's one of my favorite songs. That is my prayer for my family. I witnessed that. Like, I was talking to my own parents and I was telling them, or at least my mom, I haven't told my dad that this week, but I was telling my mom, I see how their obedience has put me generations ahead. And I won't even dwell on that in this setting, but I see that because they've been so obedient to God. That has put me and my siblings generations ahead. And I'm going to leave that right there. But that matters. So everything you do in life, you have to keep that in mind. If you want your children to live a certain way, have a certain lifestyle, they need to first have that access to the Lord. They need to see that example in you. And I mean, like, that real example, that real walk, that real, relationship with him. That's what changes everything. Our relationship with Christ. That's what gives you the power, the freedom, which we're going to come back to freedom, the authority, right? To where you don't have to be in agreement with the enemy, to where he can't have access to you and yours. So first and foremost, and that relationship influences every area of y'all's lives: spiritual, financial, physical, emotional, mental. And I'm pretty sure it's safe to say, like, my parents ain't gonna get on here and disagree. Like, I'm holding up like that emotional banner. I know alarm going off. I'm holding up that emotional banner, for my family. Now it's disconnecting. Sorry, y'all, it's disconnecting. But I'm holding up that emotional banner, and what's gave me that emotional intelligence is my relationship with the Lord. Okay, so first things first. So your obedience, keep that in mind. Like, and this is where we're going to come back to another thing. And we may have talked about this on YouTube before, but oftentimes people will, you know, well, why y'all not like more like them, right? Like, why y'all not like them? Why you didn't parent like my parents? You didn't obey like my parents. Stop trying to compare it at different levels. You shouldn't compare anyways, but that's what it is. Our lives are a direct reflection of their obedience, right? And their hearts, right? So, shifting gears, the two specific things. I work with children all the time. Like, children church, that keeps me pretty engaged and locked in with children from a wide range of ages, right? Like, from my little babies to, high schoolers. And it's been like that since I was in high school myself, right? So as I get older, it's like, okay, Holy Spirit, as I get older, the age in which God has trusted me with the children, it grows. So when I'm 16, yeah, I can love on and teach and pour into toddlers, because I'm 16, I'm learning as a 16-year-old, and I'm beyond that, I can see them. But being a 30-year-old woman, and I can now speak to teenagers, but it's deeper than that, because people can be so much older in age, but they have not matured or developed past a place or state where they were traumatized. That's something you learn if you talk with therapists or if you go to therapy yourself. Like, oh shoot, like I didn't get past this trauma. Like, I'm still stuck at that age. Like, that is a thing. And so me working with children all the time, I interact with adults that remind me of children. And I'm like, hold on, wait a minute. So whether you're talking about a full-blown narcissist, I'm realizing this week, like, the enemy is a child, right? He is the narcissist. But whether you're talking about that, or you're talking about older people you may interact with in your family, at work, strangers, whatever, and it's not good interactions, and you're like, now why are you thinking like my 7-year-old in children's church? You get what I'm saying? And so that is something God has used to humble me, because how I treat them children in children's church or children I interact with wherever, I should have that same level of patience for his children. So now as I grow and mature in my walk with him, he's given me eyes to help all his children. Now, I do know I'm somebody that is called to deliverance and helping lead people to freedom. And so at this stage in my life, knowing that I am feeling way more free than usual, it seems like every time I have a certain level of breakthrough and God ushers me into a new level of freedom, there is a part of me that my heart hurts, and it starts to grieve. And that's how I felt this morning. Like, I was up real early. I went to sleep early. I was praying, thinking about different things, dreamt a lot, woke up early and was like, God, like, I didn't realize he was trying to tell me something. But the more I'm ushered into freedom, it grieves me, because I look around, I'm like, oh, they're not free. Like, they act like that because they're not free. They treat me like this because they're not free. They continue to perpetrate and continue these generational things, right? Like, there's generations behind you. They continue to do that because they are not free. And so my heart hurts because I interact with adults and I see them stuck as those children, and they're not free as adults. Okay. And that goes across the board, whether we are talking family, coworkers, church family, people you date, whatever. And I pick up on that. And so it breaks my heart. And so the one thing in particular, one of my babies last week in children's church, and ooh, y'all don't understand. Like, the Lord meets me right there in children's church. Like, he meets me right there. She was talking about how her mommy encourages her to express her feelings. And when you're hearing that from a child, and you struggled to express your feelings, right? And you like, you're right. So a part of you is really grateful because you're like, the next generation gonna be way better than me. Like I'm saying, I know the Lord has me with this emotional banner running with it for my family, but I see the generation behind me, even in my family, and they do so much better with things, and it inspires me and it teaches me and it shows me like, you know what, we can live a different way. We can live free from those things. And they're in a different position because my niece and nephew, like, they live different. I didn't grow up on social media. Like I didn't start social media until I was in high school, like even using it, but definitely not being on it until I was even more grown. And so they have access to things, and it could be good or bad, right? But they have access to sound teachings really, and just wisdom at an earlier age, right? And so my niece and nephew, they have a very strong sense of emotional intelligence and awareness, and one that I did not come into until I was an adult, right? And so I'm running with it, but I see like, oh, but y'all really gonna be running with it. You know what I'm saying? And that's another thing. Some people in the family throughout the generations, if I can sit here and I can notice that, like, oh yeah, this one's running with this one's running with this, and it makes my heart happy because you know the future should be better. It's gonna be in good hands. That's me. Some people in the family, though, if they're in agreement with the devil, they see that and they mad about it. I'm gonna do whatever I can, so they drop that. So they can't run with that. So they can't help set nobody free. They not gonna be free, and they not setting nobody else free when it comes to that, because they're in agreement with the devil. And that's something you have to understand on a spiritual level so that you can pray for certain things. Okay. So my baby was saying expressing her feelings. And in order to express your feelings, you gotta first be able to identify and articulate them. Like how you gonna express some feelings? Like how you gonna do that? And you also have to feel allowed to express them. And so growing up, no, I didn't always feel like I was allowed to express my feelings. Like it was always like, like even if I had them, I had to keep going. Like I had to be mission focused and mission centric. And so I had to learn as an adult, like, hey, but I'm not no good in this mission if I don't deal with what's going on inside of me. You get what I'm saying? And so I have to be able to have that freedom to express and release, but you're not going to release or express if you don't know that you're allowed to do that. And so that was something for me as an adult. I'm allowed to not only feel feelings and experience feelings outside of sweet, submissive, do whatever you say, Meg, right? Which will put you in bad positions in romantic relationships. But I'm allowed to be angry if you disrespect me. I'm allowed to feel sad if you do something to hurt me. And I'm allowed to speak about it because it's my life. I'm allowed to speak. I'm allowed to do that. And if it's people that you love, then you should feel safe in doing that. So that's been a whole thing, right? And so I have conversations with the younger kids, like, hey, I'm sorry if I ever hurt your feelings. I never want you to feel like you can't come talk to me. It's not safe over here. And they hear that, but you have to show them that, right? Like it's the same thing in class with all my kids. And for those of you who don't know, it has not just been children's church. When I was at Auburn, I volunteered for really at the Boys and Girls Club, and I love them kids. And they taught me so much for years. I was there working with them, and that was also various age groups. And so I've always been around kids. You make them feel safe by how you treat them, and it's not, oh, a child doesn't feel safe now because you're disciplining them. No, that ain't it. I always knew my daddy was disciplining me because he cared about how I showed up in the world. He cared about how I treated people. He cared about how I turned out. So if I did something wrong, they corrected me. They disciplined me. I knew that. I had parents where if I got whooped, they were still telling me they loved me. Like it didn't feel like it. Like I'm getting disciplined and you saying you love me, but no, for the most part, I understood that. And growing up, I could look back and I realized that, like, okay, yeah, they was with me because I actually did something wrong, right? Like, and they want me to do better. And I was the type of child where I didn't have to get beat left and right because I listened. Like, I listened. You know what I'm saying? Like, I hurt disappointing my parents. Like, that hurts me. I don't want my parents to look at me and they're disappointed. That hurts my feelings. I've been like that as a child. Can that also be a dangerous territory? It can be, because you can't be an adult trying to live to please them and they may be expecting or wanting something. And I'm not saying that it's bad that they're wanting or expecting, but it's something that's not in alignment with what God wants for you, what God is showing you. So that's a whole nother plight. Like how you grow up and you had really good parents and you learn how to separate from that. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure it out myself. Okay, but that's not what this is for. So I've always worked with kids and I just see different stuff. Okay, so I really don't even know how we got off that far on that tangent. YouTube is used to me doing this. Facebook is not, but I'm used to that. So being able to express your feelings, you have to be able to know that that's where we're at. You have to be able to see like, okay, I'm allowed to have feelings. And that's what I was saying. Like, I'm allowed to be angry. I'm allowed to be sad. So you get older and you like, I don't even know. Why am I struggling with anxiety like this? Why is this a panic attack? What is this, guy? Right. And I just figured out this week, and it's not anything to laugh about, but it's because I'm grateful that the Lord is showing me this. I'm grateful because I can share this with other people because I've overcome it. I'm grateful because I can share this with the generation behind me. That was the title of this, right? The generation behind me. That's why I'm laughing. But when you grown up and you've been a soldier, because my daddy a real soldier, and then also I'm a soldier in the army of the Lord. And so you get in these places or these seasons where you get to calm down, but wait, I'm still traumatized from when I was in the war zone. Wait a minute, right? You know what I'm saying? And so I had to learn that because I was in all these traumatic situations, literally growing up. Now I have anxiety and I'm having panic even when I'm not in those situations, and I don't know what's causing that because I had all these feelings I hadn't dealt with. So the first thing the therapist say to me when I go to therapy as an adult is, "You got PTSD?" No, like sis, I could have told you that. Like I know that. Like, you know what I'm saying? And so you can be aware of those things though and not do what you need to do to mitigate what's going on with you. And so I'm aware, but I still haven't figured out how to give all this to God. I still haven't figured out how to appropriately even release my feelings to Him. Like, it ain't even about being able to talk to my parents, being able to talk to a loved one, a love interest, whatever. It's about being able to unload that with Him, so I don't walk into new seasons with that same anxiety and panic and fear. I don't want that. I prayed that earnestly. YouTube knows that. I prayed that. I don't want autoimmune responses. I don't want to be anxious no more. I don't want to live so detached, because when you constantly in war zones, you learn how to do that. Like you got all this stuff going around, but in order for me to stay focused on the mission, I can't think about all that stuff going around. So I learned how to move in life without doing that. So I'm in a still season. I'm like, what is wrong with me? Right? Like, what is this guy? Like, and that's what it was. So I'm sharing this because I want to encourage you, no matter what the trauma is, no matter how it came through. A lot of times our childhood trauma is what be beating us up, and we have to always remember, like, nobody in this earth can be perfect. Your parents can't be perfect. I love my parents, and they know I struggle with that tremendously, because if they were perfect, why would I need Jesus? So He could have never gave me perfect parents, no matter how much I think they're perfect, right? So anything I feel like, oh yeah, I did that wrong, I take it very hard, because I don't think they do anything wrong, really, ultimately. But if they were perfect, I wouldn't have needed Jesus. Okay. So no matter what your trauma is, and on YouTube, we share in trauma, because I've been doing it over there for a long time. You have to take it to God and you have to deal with it. You cannot deal with no type of trauma, no type of wound, whether it was parental, outside of your parents, familial. You get older, you go through great losses, you go through bad relationships because you haven't healed from the familial stuff. That's a thing, right? But you have to know how to heal from it. The first step is to be able to acknowledge it. I say that on YouTube all the time. You ain't changing nothing you can't accept. But the first step is to be able to acknowledge it. You need to be able to acknowledge, like, you know what? When I was little, this transpired. When I was younger, this happened. When I was a little bit older, this happened. That's the first step. But it ain't enough to just know that. I've been able to acknowledge stuff for years. I'm still sitting over here struggling with anxiety. How, God? Like, what is that? Because I didn't truly deal with it. Like, the internet says heal, heal, we need to heal. But what does that mean? Right? And if you don't, then what are you doing for the generation behind you? That's going to be a disservice to them. At some point, you have to be able to look in the mirror for the children behind you, whether you birthed them already or you haven't. You have to be able to do that. Look in the mirror to hold yourself accountable. Look in the mirror so that you can heal. Accountability is a big part of healing, especially when you talk about stuff that people did to you. You had a role in that. You allowed it, right? But then even down to stuff that, because I mean, there's some stuff like that ain't got nothing to do with me. Somebody else should have been looking out for the kid, right? Like sin is the problem. So now you start talking about generational curses. Now you start talking about why the devil even had access to begin with. What is that about, God? And that's sin. My daddy always teaches me that. It's always a reason to pray, and you blame sin. Human nature, right? So acknowledge it. And when you acknowledge it, be able to really look in the mirror and accept things for what they are, even if it's hard to accept it. Childhood trauma, parental wounds, them tough. I'm telling you, that's tough, but you got to be able to accept it. Great losses, and then you looking at God like, why you did that? Why you take them away from me? I know those feelings. Why did that transpire? You got to be able to deal with it. I'm telling y'all, okay? So acknowledge, accept, and then when you can accept things for what they were, and then you can leave them in the past, really. But when you can accept it, that's when things change. You can accept that happened in the past. You can accept that a different version of you or a past version of you allowed that. And so I remember I was telling my dad, we were going somewhere, and I should not have been anxious. I was like, what is going on? And they were talking to me, and I was zoning out. Like, they was like, you straight? And I was like, oh gosh. Like, I think one of them things was sneaking up on me again. Like, I don't even want to speak that because I don't want to come in agreement with that. And I was telling him, like, you know what? I'm starting to realize this be happening if I'm ever like reflecting and not in a good way. Like, you can reflect to where you can power up and help people, but you can also look back and you just kind of ruminated on the past. That also triggers anxiety and stuff in me as well. And I start to panic. And so he always tells me to look forward. Don't look behind you, because that definitely incites that panic in me for sure too. So that's that. But you're doing them a disservice if you're not able to look in the mirror and deal with it. Now, the thing he was telling me specifically, another thing he was telling me specifically, which is what led me to get on the live, he was showing me how people continue to sweep things under the rug. So what are you doing if you're not taking a look in the mirror, holding yourself accountable, dealing with those things? You are now sweeping it under the rug, and that is a disservice. And not only will you sweep it underneath the rug, you're telling the devil, you're showing him like, yeah, you can keep having access over here. I'm gonna act like I don't see it. Don't nothing make me more mad than people who act like they don't see what's going on. That don't nothing make me more mad. So we all gonna act like that person don't do that. We all gonna act like that person don't behave like that, and how it's continuing cycles of abuse within the generation. Don't make me mad. Yeah, that makes me mad. So when you are too scared, because that's oftentimes what it is. If healing was easy, everybody would do it, and we know everybody not doing it because the world full of sickos. And I'm not trying to be, mean, but that's the truth. If healing was easy, everybody would heal. We wouldn't be dealing with comparison, which is the other thing that's what I'm in that on. We wouldn't be dealing with comparison. We wouldn't be dealing with jealousy. We wouldn't be dealing with all these deep-rooted insecurities in women and men alike, right? We wouldn't be dealing with all this weird stuff, all these cycles of abuse, whether it's child abuse, sexual abuse, domestic abuse, whatever. We wouldn't be dealing with that if people was really healed. So if healing was easy, if it was really easy to like, God, help me. If it was really easy to look in the mirror and deal with it, everybody would do it, but they don't. So that's fear. And so when you're too scared to address it, or you can't even admit different things have occurred, different things happen, you setting it up for the next generation to go through that. That's a disservice. And so you can think like disservice just means like you're just not servicing. It ain't no medium. And that's why God talks about that. Like, you either hot or you cold. And if you lukewarm, I'm going to spit you out. I didn't even do all that this morning, but that's why he talks about that. So you're either helping the next generation or you're hurting the next generation. There's no in between. You can't just neutral. I'm going to act like I ain't see it happen. So I wasn't really making it worse, because I know you were, because you knew it was going on and you didn't do nothing about it. Now you're a disservice. When you look up the word disservice, that actually means harm. You're causing them harm. You're not just not serving them. You're causing them harm. You either with me or you not. God is like that. So you either helping them or you're not. So when you try to act like, oh, well, I'm fine and I ain't really got to talk about it, and I didn't really talk about it and I'm cool. No, because there's spiritual implications of those things. And so because it bypassed you and all you did was give them, okay, you can stay. I'm going to act like I didn't see it, sweep it underneath the rug. Now the next generation will have to deal with it. I'm not one for that at all. You want to fight? That's how we're going to fight. I'm not one for that. You're not going to do that. We're not doing that over here. So whatever it is, and I'm not saying you got to get on the internet publicly and talk about it. That's not what I'm saying. You honestly, I'm all for uncomfortable conversations and big kumbayas. My family knows that. I'm all for that because that exposes what's going on. If I sit here and I'm quiet, the devil gonna think he can keep doing that. But if Megan speaks up, he gonna know somebody see him. And now we can all pray together. Now we can all stand together against it. You either with us or you ain't. And it's not pitting people against each other because it gets really messy when you start dealing with family and stuff, right? Like that's not what it is. Either we with Jesus or we not. And so whoever with Jesus, that's who's over here. And if you're choosing the wrong side, then you over there. That's how that works. But then I don't even want to go over there because you also got to be able to keep the peace, right? But there is no peace. That's why I really love when Jezebel dies in the Bible. Lord, forgive me if that was too aggressive. But when they come to kill her, it's like, are you coming in peace? It ain't no peace until sis is dead. That's what it says. No, I'm not coming in peace. I'm not. Stop thinking I'm coming in peace when we talking about the devil. I'm not coming in peace no matter what it is. People, I really hope y'all understand that about me. I'm cool, I'm sweet, I'm calm. But if you're wrong, you're wrong. If you're doing people wrong, you're wrong. Same with me, because if I'm doing people wrong, call it out. Say something so I know, right? Like I'm not coming in peace because she gotta go. So don't sweep stuff underneath the rug because it's just a past. The thing he was highlighting me this morning was sexual abuse. YouTube, y'all know we used to talking about that. Okay, like that's what he was highlighting me. We not ignoring it. Whether it's somebody doing it, because I was watching the video on Facebook and I got a little but whether it's somebody and y'all know they did it, and I don't mean it don't got to be somebody in the family, if anything, y'all know they did it, say something, address that, handle that, nip that in the bud now. Because then you wonder why you got these men and they, however old they are, they don't know how to act. They don't know how to treat women. They was mistreated as a child. Somebody did something to them as a child. They mom and daddy didn't do nothing about it. They weren't strong enough, courageous enough. That's what happens. Don't do that. Don't do that. Speak up. Say something, right? And it don't even just have to be adults. It can be children doing stuff to other children. Say something. Don't make me mad. Like, don't make me mad. And I know it's a warning in there. When I first knew God was calling me to speak like publicly to people, he gave me 3 things. That was one of them. I ain't came up off of that yet. You better off tying a certain type of stone and like drowning in the sea than causing one of his little children to stumble. Yes, children, small children in age, but also his children, right? And I thank God for keeping me through literally everything, because who knew I'd ever had the strength to get on here and talk about certain things? Not Megan, right? So say something. Don't just act like it didn't happen. If something has transpired with you, I feel like you should be able to talk to your children in the next generation about it so they can be mindful of it, so they can be aware of it, not just sitting around and then, I'm gonna just act like it didn't happen. That bothers me so much. Can't stress that enough. I'm gonna just act like it didn't happen. And now you wonder why the next generation is experiencing the exact same thing you went through. Speak up. Speak up so the devil knows he can't do that over here. Speak up so the devil knows he's seen over here. Okay, so I know that got a little heavy and I really do got to get ready to go to church because it's about to be 9. This is the last thing I'm ending on. Over the years, I've had a lot of dreams about generational curses. And again, that goes back to the beginning of the video. That's talking about just in agreement with the devil. I had one particular dream, and this is the one I have not been able to shake all week. I'm like, why do you keep bringing this up to me, guy? I had one particular dream. We were all at a family member's house, and and we knew something was going on, like under the house, and it's kind of like, what is that? So lo and behold, it is this ginormous, and I mean ginormous, snake that was just living underneath their house. Snakes never represent anything good in a dream, ever. I'm telling you that now. Never. This is the biggest snake I've ever seen in a dream. And I've seen a lot of snakes in dreams. I've seen multiples of snakes in dreams, poisonous snakes in dreams. This was like next level, just monster. It was huge. And it had just been comfortable underneath their house, just growing, just getting bigger. and bigger. And I have dreams like that too, where the snakes start off small. And see, that's where you're supposed to speak up, nip stuff in the butt, kill it now, cut its head off now, because it's not going to continue to grow and get bigger. But people don't do that. They just act like, oh, well, I'm just going to ignore it no matter what it is. I'm going to ignore their disgusting behavior. I'm going to ignore how they treat everybody. I'm just going to ignore. Ignoring it is a disservice to your family and to the generations behind you. It's a disservice to them. Okay? So the snake was huge, and only one person in my family, like, I was there, but I was also like watching. I don't know. It was weird. It was a combo. Like, it wasn't like I was just a part of the dream. And it wasn't just I was watching it like out of my, it could have been an outer body thing. Like, I could see me also in a dream, but that's not what this is about. So it was only one person in my family who was not scared and was not scared to go and slay it. Okay, so that can be a giant. It don't gotta just be like Goliath. It can be these big old snakes. And it was only one person in my family who wasn't scared. And so for the last years, I've been asking God, like, what did that represent? Like, I just knew it was something that was, I'm laughing, but when I had a dream, it wasn't funny because that was a big snake. And a lot of times when I wake up from dreams like that, I'd be like distraught for a little bit. But I was like, what does that represent? Like, I could not figure out what it represented. And it was huge. It was just growing, just getting bigger and bigger. And just under their house, like, it lives there. That was its home. That's when you see what happened when you sweep stuff under the rug. Like, baby, that wasn't hid underneath no rug. It was hiding underneath the whole house. The whole house. And a house represents your heart. Okay, cars represent your life. But that's the foundation. Like, the foundation of that house, of that home, that snake resided there. It resided there. That's a problem. So it represented comparison all these years. And so you wouldn't even think comparison would be like, comparison? That's what the snake was? You would think that it was comparison. I just figured that out this week. But comparison kills. Okay, and so in a lot of families, particularly, we still have these effects from days of slavery. Oh, see how all this is tying in? And I'm called to help set other people's free. My daddy has compared me to Moses and Harriet Tubman at a time, and I did not know why he was doing that, but now I understand. But there's an issue when people get free. I don't know what that is. And if you've listened in or you were part of the Prison Break series, I'll talk about that. One of those pages is dedicated to jealousy. You watch TV and a prisoner is about to break out. They know their release date is like tomorrow. Oh, you're not getting out, I'm finna kill you. That's how people act. You can call it crabs in a barrel effect. Like, they thought that, pulling them back down. You can call it whatever you want, but that's what that's rooted in. And I also had a different level of breakthrough because how I share across platforms is kind of different, but I couldn't understand how it can go from admiration to jealousy so quick. Like, he really connected some pieces for me this week. I said, God, I don't understand, because you'll know, they watch my every move though. Like, they stop me. They see everything I'm doing. Like, how does it go from admiration to jealousy? What is that? It's comparison. So when you admire something so much, or you see yeah, they finna get out. They finna be free. I'm not finna be free. And then you try to disrupt and sabotage and pull them down. That is comparison. That's what that is. That's what feeds it. So if this house, this family unit is always comparing, right? That's feeding that. And it's growing. So now you have this large snake, but that opens so many other doors to so many other things. There's a reason the devil got kicked out of heaven. Like, that's what we're going to be talking about next week, right? Like, there's a reason he got kicked out. That's why you need to have boundaries too. So when you see particular family members are struggling with certain things and perpetrate certain things because they're struggling with certain things, as an adult who has children, small children, you need to be able to protect them from that. You need to be able to establish the boundary for that child. I would never expect my 5, 6, 7-year-old, probably not even my teenager, to have to put up a boundary with toxic family members who are in agreement with the enemy. I wouldn't even expect that. Not as their parent, right? But that's your responsibility to shield them from that. Even if it's not, it's levels to this. Even if it's not shield them in the sense of You're never gonna be around my child. Which, and Megan, that's the route I'm taking. We just gonna kill that altogether. You ain't gonna be around. But if you can't do that, then you need to be able to build them up. Like, hey, such and such is bitter. They're full of a lot of hate. They're full of a lot of venomous rage. So they maybe I'm not even gonna have these conversations. I'm not gonna explain that to my 6-year-old. We just not gonna come around. I think that's pretty normal for Megan. Like, that's how I think. Right? If you treated me like that, you crazy. You think finna treat my seed like that? Because now I'm being a disservice to my seed. I'm putting them in a position to where they can be harmed, and now they got to unnecessarily experience this venomous rage coming out of this person. Huh? Not doing that. Okay. So this was heavy. I'm glad I did both at the same time though. This is a lot. We're talking about the boundaries and how I wouldn't force my children to have to do that. It's my job to do that boundary, but the boundary isn't always a physical one. It can be teaching them that, because as an adult, I have to learn that. Say you being mistreated by somebody at work. Okay, well, I can't just not come in. So now I'm getting paid here right now until God moves me, right? You have to learn how to structure the boundaries in your heart. There's a reason God says guard your heart. We talk about all this in the prison break session. There's a reason he says guard it. That's a boundary. That is a boundary. And I was saying there's a reason the devil got kicked out of heaven. And so you have to learn that even with family. If you see they on that type of time, I think I'm gonna talk about that this week too. Family don't get a pass. Like, if you the same type of person, the same type of spirit, my mama would be like, hey, that girl not your friend. You need to stay away from her. Family don't get a pass. Family does not get a pass. Like, y'all hear me say anything else this year, remember that. Family does not get a pass. Church family does not get a pass. Nobody get a pass. If there's boundaries for the devil, there's boundaries for everybody else. Okay. So you have to know that. And when we're talking about familial things and comparison and stuff, oh, that's what I was saying. It breeds more. So the comparison and now the jealousy. And then we all know when people jealous, they do crazy things. The Pharisees was jealous of Jesus. They had my man's killed. Okay. Jealousy leads to other things. Jealousy leads to sabotage, interference, trying to physically kill you in your life. And when you dealt with venomous jealousy, you know that. We see stories all over the world about that all the time. What you mean you went out of town and they unalived you? Because they was jealous and you struggled with boundaries. Right? And that's a disservice to not understand that. If the devil got kicked out of heaven for a reason, other folks is going to have to be okay getting kicked out of my life. But you can pray for them. And you can help inform and give people knowledge and awareness on how to deal with certain things. And at the end of the day, and also first and foremost, pray for them. Pray for them. Ignoring it is not helping nobody, because you're just setting up the next generation to have to go through a whole bunch of more unnecessary stuff. But you also don't have to be all. My level of exposure and different type of exposure that I be seeing, I'm not saying you got to be like, oh, and such did it. You ain't got to be like that. Like, right, the Lord has had to work with me in that manner, right? But you need to be able to acknowledge that it's going on, and that acknowledgement is a level of exposure. I don't mean like taking it to the press, writing it in a news article, right? Because you still got to have a level of demure and, grace and stuff when you do things. You do. But that's what I want to talk about today. Don't be a disservice to the generations behind you. Be obedient. I'm in a season of my life where setting boundaries was obedience. And it'll be people that'll tell you otherwise. Like, you wrong, you a bad Christian because you setting boundaries. No, I'm not. The Lord set boundaries. He even tells us to guard our hearts. That is a boundary. Scripture wouldn't be written like that. And stories wouldn't be played out like that if boundaries weren't really a thing. So don't let nobody gaslight you or manipulate you with scripture or religion, which is a whole nother conversation too, because religious narcissism is a form of narcissism. And again, that is more like the Pharisees who had Jesus killed. Now, it was a greater purpose attached to that, but that was a heart to even put them in a position to want to have him killed. You know what I'm saying? And also Judas, that was a part of the setup, but his heart was wrong. Not if you're going to betray him, sell him out for some money. Desperation, I might talk about that this week too. Desperation is a thing. Desperation can be dangerous in people. When you desperate, insecure, and comparing, and jealous, and hateful, and you ain't healed, and you get what I'm saying? Like, that's a deadly combo. Now, like, you see why that snake was so big underneath that house? That's what happened when you ignore stuff. So let's leave it with that. Don't ignore what's going on. Don't sweep stuff underneath the rug. Okay. And if you're not actively doing stuff to help the next generation and the generations behind you, you are being a disservice to them, meaning you are harming them. Because if anything, you're just going to keep allowing what's already plaguing the bloodline to continue to play the bloodline. And I wholeheartedly believe God was like, bloop, no, Megan, break the curses. Like, I really feel like that's why he sent me. And not just in my bloodline family. It's the world. It's my peers. It's anybody I'm connected to. We don't have to live like that. Ask me how I know, because he showed me I don't have to live like that. It's not because Megan thinks she's perfect. It's because he freed me. It's because he set me free. We did not have to live like that. I was living like that. I didn't like it. Now I don't have to live like that. You get what I'm saying? And it's Jesus. So just remember that. You want to bless the generations behind you? Obey him. You want to be a disservice to them? Disobey him. Don't sweep nothing underneath the rug. And then the feeling stuff is sandwiched in there somewhere, but I'll let y'all find that. So I love y'all. It's 9:05. I gotta get to the flock because I gotta teach my babies. Happy Sunday. Have a really good day, y'all. Love y'all. Bye. Love you, Jay. Bye, Kendall.